Blessed be the voices that are here today. Voices that are strong and courageous, loud and clear, unsilenced.
She's an award-winning journalist and founder of Improvidence America, an online American culture magazine. Please welcome Janelle Lenore.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to stand here before you today for the second annual Women's March. This is what democracy looks like. I'd also like to thank all the sponsors and organizers who refuse to keep quiet in the face of undemocratic and unprecedented un-American policies and actions from those who swore to uphold the values rooted in humanity and culture our country was founded on. And a special thank you to Christina Andriotta with Citizen Action of New York. She's another resistor who refuses to be quiet. Thank you for galvanizing us. From Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, Dolores Huerta, Wilma Rudolph, Viola Liuzzo, the real Cleopatra, Racy Taylor, to Oprah Winfrey. Women have consistently broken glass ceilings and fought for a more just world for all of us. History is not womanless. But unfortunately, those who write history books tend to forget about the many contributions made by women. But we gather here today and across the country and the world to remind those who deem us worthless of exactly who we are. Together, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, women are a powerful force to be reckoned with. Oprah Winfrey said, speaking your own truth is the most powerful tool we all have. So, like Auntie Maxine, I'm reclaiming my time. I was born in Suriname, a former Dutch colony in South America. I was born into poverty, but blessed with the richness of culture and woman power. I was born a Pamaka woman. I grew up watching my mother, my aunt, and the many other women in my family raise their children practically on their own. These women did it all. They went to work, came home with measly bacon, and raised their children. We are descendants of escaped slaves brought to the Americas from West Africa. Hardship was nothing new to us. We persisted. I moved to the United States in the late 80s at the age of 13. My life was turned upside down, but like my mother and all those strong women before me, I persisted. I learned to speak English by imitating some of the most fascinating women I had ever seen in my life, other than those in my own family, television news anchors. I had no idea these women existed. Up until that point, my understanding of a woman's role was purely domestic. I saw myself having lots of babies and raising them without a father in the home, just like my mother did.
Yes! Girl power!
From the moment I saw these women delivering the news on my television screen, my dream was born. I dared to dream that perhaps, just maybe, I too can do that. So I persisted. I put myself through college, made my way to Washington, D.C., where I worked for 2 members of Congress and eventually to the airwaves at a local radio station. From there, I decided to move to Utica to work towards my dream of becoming a television news anchor. I was persisting. As a single parent to my wonderful son, Nick. After moving here, I uncovered an uncomfortable truth. A segregated city full of culture and languages, and yet the tapestry of diversity was invisible in the workforce. Everyone seemed to have their own little corner of Utica. I saw a media market that does not value diversity. And despite my persistence, I couldn't find a job. Not in radio or even television, as I set out to do when I moved to this area. I finally did get hired. I was the first black woman my previous employer had hired as a full-time journalist and anchor in its nearly entire 100-year history. After making great strides in my work, winning awards, and building my career, I was fired. Mere months after being selected Outstanding Woman of the Year in Arts and Communications right here in the Mohawk Valley. I was vilified, publicly humiliated, and emotionally tortured for my audacity to dream of being your television news anchor. I came face to face with the feeling that my ancestors before me refused to accept as an option: giving up. So I persisted. I tried again and again to gain employment in the television, radio, and newspaper market here in upstate New York. I was ignored, laughed at, and dismissed, even blacklisted. I worked to leave this area. Then I remembered what Dr. King said in his letters from Birmingham jail. He said, "I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the prophets of the 8th century BC left their villages and carried their 'Thus said the Lord' far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Tarsus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the far corners of Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. Like Paul, I must respond to the Macedonian call for aid." So I persisted. It came to me in a dream. If they won't let you in the door, build your own door. That's when I created my online magazine, E Pluribus America, dedicated to coverage of American culture. Like Dr. King and the Apostle Paul, we as women must consistently respond to the call for aid. And Utica can benefit from aid. Utica can benefit from workplace diversity. Utica can benefit with a diverse media. Utica can benefit from a more unified community. Utica can benefit by giving access to the forgotten and suffering members of its community. Utica can benefit by having more black and brown teachers. Utica can benefit by letting go of past hurt, by working towards a future that includes the success of all its citizens and not just those who are well connected and part of a system of only looking out for those you value. Utica can benefit by being more inclusive, and Utica can benefit by having a black news anchor. But none of these things can happen unless we fully grasp how important our participation is to achieve this promised land Dr. King envisioned. You matter, your vote matters, your voice and activism matters. They say doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. Stop voting for the same politicians who have made governing a career that only benefits themselves and those who line their pockets. Stop voting for politicians who take to the airwaves to condemn the peaceful take-a-knee protest started by Colin Kaepernick. They're not on our side or the side of America, a magical place, a beacon of freedom and opportunity to so many people. Vote for newcomers and consider running for office yourself. You want change? Be the change you want to see and demand it from others, especially from those in position of power. We are living in an age where grabbing by the you know what is locker room talk and shithole countries is kitchen table talk. The only room left to enter this administration and its apologists is the voting booth. That's why your participation and activism matters. Now more than ever, we as women must vote as if our lives depend on it, because it does. Dr. King said, the time to do what's right is always now. All of us standing here in the bitter cold are the embodiment of his teachings, his spirit, his love for humanity, and his dream. The promised land is near, but we have a ways to go. Your participation in this march and in our sacred democracy matters. Honesty is a crucial part of governing, and we've seen time and time again how this sacred human understanding of right versus wrong and truth versus lies is eroding. In an attempt to maintain power, Republicans and Trump apologists and his enablers are normalizing what our very own eyes are seeing. We can't afford to be silent about it. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. From slavery and the Civil War, Reconstruction and Jim Crow, segregation and the Great Migration, to the Civil Rights Movement. Let's not go back. Let's go forward. We all live in the same house. Dr. King said, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish as fools. Ladies, we are breaking through. We must persist and resist the most un-American Congress our modern society has ever seen. Don't keep quiet. We are what makes America great. This is our beautiful country. It's time to take it back from those who seek to divide us. A new day is on the horizon. It's time to let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. It's time to let freedom ring in Utica. Thank you.